warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everybody to today's class. As some of you may be aware, next week, inshallah, our course will be concluding. So Thursday the 24th, I think it is, will be your final class. So between now and then, we've got quite a bit of ground to cover still. So let's see how we go over the next few classes. So what we'll do is, for now, we're going to jump straight back into the quiz that we were doing between Atfal and Nasirat. Just a very quick recap. So on Friday's lesson, we looked at Mad Saghir and Mad Kabir. And in the following lesson after that, lesson number 12, we were looking at what would happen with Noon Sakin or Tanween when it's connected to a Lam or Ra Mushaddad. And we learned that it was called Idgham Kamil, or complete merging, complete assimilation, where the sound of the Noon or the Tanween is completely ignored, and instead you read the Lam or the Ra Mushaddad. So the example here, Allah instead of Anla. So moving to the lesson that we're covering today. So we're looking at slide number 13, and this is to do with the Sakin letter when it appears between a Mutaharrik letter and a Mushaddad letter. So as we usually do with our quiz, I'm going to select two students. So from Atfal, I'm going to choose A410. And from Nasirat, I'm going to choose N473. So I'm going to start off with our Tifl. So Assalamu alaikum, A410.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you today?
I'm fine.
Alhamdulillah. So you're going to be representing Atfal. Let me just give a recap. So at the end of Friday's class, Atfal had 79.5 points and Nasirat have 78.5 points. So Atfal are leading at the moment by 1 point. So my question to you is regarding the slide that we've got in front of us. So the first question is, can you tell me in this first example, which is the Sakin letter?
The Sakin letter is, I think, Ta.
Say it again, please.
Dal.
Yeah, excellent. So that's 1 point. And could you then tell me which is the Mutaharrik letter?
The Ta.
Ta, excellent. And why is it the Ta?
Because it's got that like smooth W on top.
Not because of the Shadda. There's a different reason. So if you have a Mutaharrik letter, it's because it carries what? What does it carry?
Mushaddad.
Not Mushaddad. So that a Mushaddad letter would carry a Shadda.
Ta.
It is Ta, but it's carrying something different. Not the Shadda. What else can you see above the Ta?
Sukoon.
Not Sukoon, no Sukoon on the Ta. So this letter here, we've got the Shadda. What's above it? What's the sign here? Do you know what we call the stroke? It begins with an F.
Oh, do you mean the stroke or that W?
So not the W. The W would be Shadda, the one above it, the actual stroke on the letter. So the line slanting upwards.
Fatha.
Fatha, excellent, yeah. So a Mutaharrik letter would be a letter which is carrying a harakat or a stroke, yeah? So that's fine. Let me pause you for a second, Jazakallah. I'm going to bring in N473 to answer the question for Nasirat. Assalamu alaikum, N473.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Are you ready to represent Nasirat?
Yes.
Okay. So your question is, which, let me go to a different example over here. Which is the mushaddad letter?
Is it the lam?
Think carefully, mushaddad. So we've had the mutaharrik letter, which is the letter that carries the stroke. We've had the sakin letter, which carries the sukoon. What sign does the mushaddad letter carry? Think about the word mushaddad.
Is it the ra?
Excellent, yeah. And what is it carrying that makes it the mushaddad letter?
Shadda.
Excellent, well done. So you can hear the name in it, so well done. And what do you do when you see a mushaddad letter?
You join the letters.
But what's specific about a mushaddad letter? How should you read it?
You read it stronger and you put it together.
Yeah, excellent, well done. So your N473. For A410, I'm gonna only give 1 out of 2 for that one because you struggled a bit with identifying them with the Hurric letter. So Jazakallah N473. I'll come back to you in a second. So back to A410. I'm going to get you to read 3 words. So could you please read this one over here for me first?
Okay. اركب اركب معنا
Try again.
اركب معنا.
Well done, excellent. So you noticed over here, the bar here is carrying the sukoon.
So you leave the sukoon.
Yeah, excellent. So we're joining the mutaharrik letter here, which is the Qaf al-Fatha, directly with the mushaddad letter, which is Mim mushaddad. Excellent, Jazakallah. And the next word that I'd like you to read is this one over here.
Okay, it's Qurrabin.
Try again.
Qurrabin.
So remember that you're doing the ra perfectly, but also the ba is
Qurrabin.
excellent. Yeah, well done. Qurrabbi. And the final one over here.
Rawattunna.
That was almost right. So over here we have the alif madda.
Rawattunna.
Yeah, excellent. Well done. Jazakallah. Well done, A410. Let's see how N473 does with this then. So N473, could you read this example for me, please?
Okay. Ahatu.
Yeah, well done. Ahadtu. So over here in the example, are we reading this ta sakin or what are we doing?
You are. What was the question? Sorry.
So in this example, we've got the ta sakin in between the mutaharrik letter and the mushaddad letter. So are we reading the ta in the middle or are we just joining directly the ha with the ta?
We are joining directly with the ha and the da.
Okay, excellent. And this one over here, please.
Okay. Nahulukum.
So this one over here, just remember this is the sukoon sign. This is the dhamma. Okay, try again.
Nahlukum.
Bit more emphasis on the mushaddad letter.
Nahlukum.
Nakhlukum.
Nahlukum.
Well done. Do you want to have a go at this tough one over here at the end?
Yes. Falamma colored Avalaha.
Well done. So over here, the example of this sakin letter is the ta. And when you're joining, you're directly joining the lam with the fatha with the dal mushaddad. So afqaladda. Try again for me.
Afhaladda.
أثقلت.
أثقلت.
So the whole sentence would be فلما أثقلت دعوا الله.
فلما أثقلت أضاء الله. الله.
So over here, could you tell me these alifs, are we reading them or are we ignoring them?
We are ignoring them.
What reason do we have to ignore them? Why do you think we're not going to look at them when we're joining?
Because they don't have any symbol on them.
Excellent, yep, so they're blank letters, they're not carrying anything. Okay, Jazakallah, well done, N473. So, oh, A410, you're raising your hand, 1 second. Did you have a question, A410?
Pardon?
Did you have a question?
Oh no.
Oh,
Just
okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to give slightly more to A410 because I think fluency was a little bit better. So I think currently, let's have a look. It's still pretty much neck and neck at the moment with File and Nasirat. So let's see who takes the lead. So hopefully that's clear to everyone. We're looking here at what to do when we have a sakin letter and it appears in between a letter with a stroke, so a mutaharrik letter, and a mushaddad letter. So we've basically learnt that we directly join the mutaharrik letter with a mushaddad letter. Ahadtu, qur rabbi, nakhluqkum, irkam ma'ana. So we are essentially completely omitting the sakin letter which appears in the middle. So hopefully that is clear to everyone. Let's move on to slide number 14. So this time, let me just get my 2 students ready. So from Atfal, I'm going to pick A402, and also for Nasirat, let's have N455. So if those 2 students, so let's have A402, N455. Okay, so Assalamu alaikum, A402. How are you, UK?
Yes, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. So your question is regarding 2 letters over here. So this slide is about, again, Nun Sakin and Tanveen, this time with Waw Mushaddad and also with Ya Mushaddad. So your question, let me just double check. Okay, so you don't have a question. I'm just going to ask you to read the actual examples, and then I'll bring on N455. So over here, we're looking at a different rule, because remember in the previous lesson, we looked at Lam or Ra Mushaddad. So in these lessons, we saw that when we join either Nun Sakin or a letter with Tanveen, we completely omit the sound, or we remove the sound of the Tanveen or the Sakin, so we don't hear that Nun sound at all. So that was complete assimilation. Over here, we've got Waw or Ya Mushaddad. So it's a different type of joining. So we call this incomplete assimilation or incomplete merging. And we call this idgham al-naqis. And the reason for this is because we still, when we join the words together, we still keep part of the nasal sound, which comes from the tanveen or the nun sakin. So if A402, could you try to demonstrate what I mean by reading the first example?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فمستقر
Excellent. So فمستقر و. So you remember when you're joining, you slightly pause and you produce that nasal sound. That's why it's incomplete assimilation. Okay, Jazakallah. And if you could read the next one for me.
رقم ولا
Well done. And the next one.
شياء و
Yeah. And the next one.
نبي مستقر
Read it one more time for me, please.
طبع مستقر
Excellent. Well done. And this line for me.
مؤمنة ودين
Well done. If you're reading it continuously, how would you read this word?
ديتون
Yeah, well done. And the next one.
طائري يطير
And the next one.
ولأمات مؤمنات.
The 2 points here, you prolong them a bit more than just the 1 second. So try to read again.
ولأمات مؤمنات.
Okay, well done. And the last one, please. Over here, we have a waw madda, so we're going to prolong for 2 seconds. Excellent, well done, Jazakallah. So that was very well read. Thank you, A402. Let's bring on N455 then and see how she does in comparison. So N455. Okay, N455. Could you read this example for me, please?
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ma wadda'tuni ya laytani
Excellent.
daniyatun wa.
Well done. Just be careful over here. You prolong the ya a bit more than 1 second. So daniyatun wa. Okay.
Okay.
And the next one.
Shaytanam maridan.
Almost there. Again, you prolonged the meme, the fatha and the meme more than 1 second. So it's just, even though you're doing the shadda, emphasis on the letter, don't prolong it for more than 1 second. So read it again for me, please.
Shaytanam maridan.
Well done. And this one.
Shi'iwa.
Try again. So remember, this is Hamza with the kasratain, and we're joining with the waw mushaddad. Try one more time.
Shay'iwa.
Excellent. Well done. And this one, please.
Lan yaj'alallahu.
Well done. And this one.
Saqanawa.
And the next one.
Man yakhafuhu.
Try again. So remember, this is alif madda. For 2 seconds there.
Man yakhafuhu.
Well done. And the last one.
Azaban min.
Excellent. Well done, Jazakallah. That was very, very well read. So I'm going to give half a mark more to N455 because she was, I think, more fluent. But again, it's still pretty close. So just to summarize very quickly, in case anyone came late. So we're looking at waw and ya mushaddad, and we learnt that in this type of assimilation or joining, we call it idgham al-naqis, and that is incomplete, or we can call it partial assimilation, partial joining, because when we join, we still maintain the nasal sound that comes from the noon sakin or the tanveen. So hopefully that's clear to everyone. Again, remembering we're pausing for at least 2 seconds. So رطب ولا. شيعا ونبأ مستقر شيء وأن يوقع عذابا من يخافه. So well done. I was quite impressed with the recitation from A402 and N455. Just remember to put that emphasis on the shadda letters, particularly when you're doing this type of joining. Okay, so we are moving on to the next slide. We're almost coming to the end of it, so inshallah we'll be able to complete it, if not today, then definitely by tomorrow's lesson. So this lesson, I'm not going to ask for any volunteers here because we've not really covered it as such as a lesson in itself. So over here we have the situation where you have an alif and it appears with a cross at the end of the word. It can also be in the middle of the word. So this slide deals with it appearing at the end of the word. So when we come across this situation, we call it alif zaida. And in English, that would mean excessive alif. So what happens is, you'll see, when this situation happens, you'll see the alif and it's got a small cross just above it. And that's how you can recognize that it's alif zaida. And also in your Quran, in the margin as well, on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, depending on what side of the page you're reading, it will say alif zaida in the margin as well. So that's also how you can recognize it. So essentially, it's quite a straightforward rule. Basically, what you do when you see alif zaida is you don't pronounce that alif. So, for example, over here, it appears after the waw with a fatha. We might think that it would be read as if it was an alif madda. So, aw ya'fuwa. But when we have alif zaida, we see the cross is there. So that tells us we don't read the alif. So we read it very simply. Aw ya'fuwa. We just read the fatha. We ignore that the alif is there completely. If we're pausing, if you remember our rules of waqf, the vaw with the fatha, it takes a sukoon. So we would read it as aw ya'fu. Okay? So hopefully that's quite clear. In the next example, umamun litatluwa. So again, ignoring the alif over there, the alif zaida. Umamul litatluwa. And if we're pausing again, we know that when we stop on a letter which carries the fatha, it takes the sukoon in place. Umamul litatlu. So 2 seconds because it becomes a waw madda. In the next example, we have again alif zaida appearing at the end of the word. Lan nad'uwa. And if we're pausing again, while with fatha, take sukoon. Lan nad'u. 2 seconds. Next example, ribal yarbuwa. So again, ignoring the alif zaida, and if we're pausing, while take sukoon, ribal yarbu. So inshallah, that's quite clear for you. The fact that you have a cross there makes it quite easy to recognize. So just remember that you don't read it, this excessive alif when you see it appear. And this is just an example of when it appears in between a word. So exactly the same thing is happening over here. We ignore the alif completely and we read it as waji'ah. And if we're pausing, we know a letter with fatha takes sukoon. Waji', slight jerk at the end because of the hamza with a sukoon. Waji'. Over here as well, not mala'ihi, but mala'ihi, ignoring the alif completely. And if we're pausing, we have a vertical kasra, and it takes sukoon. So mala'ihi becomes mala'ih. Over here, read it very simply, mi'atun, and we know that it will become a ha sakin at the end, mi'ah. And the final example, we have it joined with the mim with kasra, and again we ignore it, mi'ataini. Over here we have the lean letter, remember, ya sakin with a fatha before, mi'ataini, and if we're pausing, a letter with kasra, it takes sukoon, mi'atain. So hopefully that's clear. So just look out for this particular rule in your recitation, look out for the cross, and also look in the margin for alif zaida. So that was quite a straightforward rule. moving to this slide over here, which we've covered quite a bit. It's come up in various lessons. So this time I'm selecting A428 from Atfal and N482 from Nasirat. So A408 and N482. So just before we jump into the actual exercise, we're looking at Hamza when it appears over a waw or a ya. So what we have to bear in mind when we see this rule is that the waw and the ya, they are sort of blank letters, and we have to think as if the Hamza is just sitting on the chair of the waw or the chair of the ya. So we concentrate only on the stroke which comes on the Hamza. Over here, just remember this stroke is for the Hamza, not for the Ya. So that might confuse you slightly. Here as well, this stroke of Kasra is being carried by the Hamza and not the Ya. So I'm going to ask A402 then. Sorry, A408. Sorry, A428. Let me just double check. Yeah, A428. If you can help us out. Okay, A428, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Could you please read this first example for me?
Yabda'u.
Well done. What do you have to remember with the sukoon? So remember, it's just the dhamma sign we're looking at. And how many seconds do we do on the dhamma?
2.
Not 2 seconds.
1.
1 second. Yeah, 1 second. So how would you read it if you're just doing 1 second on the Hamza?
Yabda'u.
Excellent. Yabda'u. Do you remember, so this isn't part of this exercise, but do you remember there were some letters when they carry the sukoon and we have to vibrate them slightly? Do you remember which letters they were?
The U.
So ba is one of them. Let me just go back just for the sake of revising. Let me see if I can find them. Yep, so this was right at the beginning when we started this slide. So we have qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. When they're carrying the sukoon sign on them, we vibrate the sound slightly. So the reason I pointed it out was because in this example, we have an example of this letter which we have to vibrate. So this is the qalqala letter. So you would read it as yabda'u.
Yabda'u.
Excellent, well done. And the next example, please.
Aba'u. Aba'una.
Remember, this is alif madda here, so 2 seconds. Try again.
Aba'uma.
Excellent, well done.
Una.
Yeah, well done. And the next one.
Imru'un.
Well done. And the next one.
Awliya'u. Who.
A little bit longer over here because we've got madis kabir and also
Awliya'u. Who.
well done. And the next one.
Yatafayya'u.
So remember again, we're just looking at the dhamma sign, which is 1 second. Try again.
Yatafayya'un.
Well done. And the last one.
Shufa'a'unna.
Well done. Excellent. So that was very well read. Jazakallah. So you are A428, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, Jazakallah A428. So you're on mute now. So hopefully that's clear. Remembering, just look at the stroke that's on the Hamza itself. Let's go to N482. Okay, N482, could you please read from this line for me?
Al-Bari'u
Yeah, and the next one.
Quri'a Tilka'i Nabbi Istuhzi'a.
Remember, this is just a plain fatha at the end.
Istuhzi'a
And this one for me, please.
Itayi
Excellent, well done. That was really well done. Jazakallah. So I'm going to put you on mute. I'm going to award half a mark more to N482, again, because her fluency was a lot better. But A428 you still read pretty well. So hopefully that's clear again. This is quite a simple rule. Just remember that you're looking at the rule, the stroke which is carried by the hamza rather than on the waw or the ya. And that goes for the same for when you're going to pause. You look at the stroke which is carried by the hamza itself. So for example here, nabbit, it already carries a sukoon, so even in pausing it will be the same thing, nabbit. If we paused over here on the hamza with the fatha, it would be istuhzi, so it would take a sukoon, the hamza would take a sukoon. Over here, if we paused on the hamza with dhamma, yunshi. Okay, so hopefully that is straightforward for you all. Let's move to the next one. Again, this is quite straightforward as well. A lot of these things we've covered already. So just for the sake of revision, we're going over them once more. So this time I would like to choose A429 from Athal and N486 from Nasirat. So let's go to A429 first. And in this slide, we're basically looking at blank or empty letters. So you can see lots of examples, especially of waw and also ya appearing. So I'll get you to read a couple of lines each. So let me get A429, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Do you understand how you're going to read the blank letters? Do you know what you're going to do first of all?
Yes.
Okie doke. Okay then, so if you can start off for me, please.
As-salatu.
Excellent. Next one.
Az-zakatu. Al-hayatu. Kamishkatin. Ulaika. Yaraha. Naraka. Mathwahu. Malana. Arani. Atkakum.
Excellent. Very well read. Jazakallah A429. So there were no mistakes there, so you get 4 marks for that. Well done. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you 11 out of 11 for you there. Well done. And let's see how N486 does then. Assalamu alaikum. N486.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
How are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Excellent. So do you understand what you're going to do when you have blank letters? Do you know if you're going to read them? Are you going to ignore them? What are you going to do?
You're just going to think that they're not there.
Excellent. Well done. So if you can read this one for me first.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ulil babi.
Well done. Next one.
Ulu. Bagiyatin.
Yep. Next one.
Anaja.
Try again for me, and remember that the noon is a mushaddad letter.
Anajati.
Well done. And the next one.
Sa'urikum salibanakum.
Yep. So just read this one again for me.
Okay. Wait. Banakum.
Well done. لأصلبنكم. And the next one for me.
Taradni. Najwakum. Mikala. Ataha.
So this one over here, I remember that it's not a shadda letter, so read it a bit more softly.
Ataha.
Yeah, well done. Next one.
Fawafahu.
And the last one.
Hawatu. I made a mistake at the end, so I meant who.
Yeah, so read it, the whole word for me.
Hawahu.
A little bit softer on the waw, so
Hawahu.
Yeah, excellent, well done, Jazakillah. That was very well read as well. I'm going to give half a mark more to A429 because don't think he made any mistakes in particular. But N486, your recitation is also very good. Just be careful of letters which might have a vertical fatha. Try not to add a shadda on it, so read it quite softly. But otherwise, I'm very impressed with this standard. MashaAllah, both Atfal and Nasrat are doing really, really well. So hopefully that's understood. Just to explain over here, I probably should have said it at the start, but this over here, this is essentially a blank or an empty ya. You can see that it's just part of it is there, the dots are missing. So exactly the same as with the blank waw, also over here. It's called a blank blend, that's what you would call it. You basically ignore it completely and just read it as if it wasn't there. So, and what you'll notice is that often, in this case in particular, with the blank blend, the ya without the dots, it often appears when letters have the vertical fatha just before it. So that's another way to spot when you have a blank letter coming up. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward as well. This is another letter which will be taught rather than us using it as part of the quiz, because we've not really covered it in a huge amount of detail. So this particular rule, there are two sections to it. So first of all, we're looking at the small meme which appears after a nun sakin or a tanveen. So we see over here, the fa has a kasratain, or the tanveen of kasra, and just next to it, we've got the small meme. Or over here, we've got an example of it when it's the nun sakin. So This small meme, we call it meme maqluba. That's the word you would give to it, meme maqluba. Try to remember it. And what basically happens is that the noon sound, which might be produced by the noon sakin or the tanween, it is changed into a meme sound. So we take the sound of the small meme maqluba. And this process of changing the letter, we call it iqlab. Iqlab, and this means to change. So meme maqluba, that's your small meme, and the process of changing this is iqlab. And what we basically do is we change the sound to the meme, and we also pause for 2 seconds because the letter which follows it is a ba, and according to this rule, we pause for 2 seconds on this meme sound. So looking at the first example, mustakhfin bil-layli. Mustakhfin bil-layli. So we remember to pause for 2 seconds here with the mim maqluba, and also remember that we have a lam mushaddad, so we pause and put more emphasis on the letter. And the next one, wasaribum bin nahari. So again, pausing over here when joining the mim maqluba with the ba. Wasaribum bin nahari. And the next one, mim baini. Again, over here we have another example of a lean letter. We have the ya sakin, and before it we have a letter with a fatha. So mim baina. Amba'i. So again, pausing on the meme sound when joining with the ba. Sumbulatin. Sumbulatin. Tambutu. Tambutu. Min buyutikum. Min ba'di. Ambatat. Ambatat. So you can see in all of these examples, whenever you see this small meme appearing on the noon sakin or the tanween, we have to remember that we're going to replace it and change it to the meme sound, and we're also going to remember to pause for 2 seconds when we join it with the ba. So hopefully, again, it's just about recognizing where these rules appear. So this one's quite easy because you can see the small meme is appearing there. So you remember you have to pause and change the sound to a meme. Hopefully that one's clear to you. The second rule that we're looking at, so this is regarding the small noon. And I want you to remember this name as well. So this is noon qutni. That's the name that we give to this small noon. Noon qutni. That's the technical term that we would use. And this can appear in between a word or like we can see over here at the beginning of a verse. So we've got our sign to show the end of the verse, and we see that there's a small noon here. What we basically have to consider, there's 2 different scenarios. So the first scenario is that we are continuing to read. We're not going to stop anywhere. We're just going to carry on reading. So for example, over here, we would read it as خَيْرُ نِطْمَأَنَّ. So when we're reading continuously, we always read the noon qutni. خَيْرُ نِطْمَأَنَّ. فِتْنَةٌ انْقَلَبَ. سَوَاءً الْعَاكِفُ. In all of these examples, we're not stopping anywhere. We're going to read the noon qutni in continuous recitation. That's your first scenario. In the second scenario, this is if we decide to stop and we don't go back. So for example, I stop at khair. So I stop at khairu, dhamma becomes sukoon, and I read it as khair. Now, I'm not going to go back. If I choose that I want to just carry on from the next word, I have to consider 3 different situations. So when I stop and don't go back, this noon, we don't read it at all. So we're going to imagine it's not even there. Then you've got the situation where you have to think, okay, now the next letter, it's a blank alif. And what we call this, so we call this hamzatul wasl. And we have to think about which stroke to give when we start the next word. So is it atma'anna, itma'anna? What do we put on top of this blank alif? Because we have to read it. We can't just ignore it. So in order to determine what stroke to give this blank alif, we have to look at the first mutaharrik letter. And if you remember, the first mutaharrik letter is that letter which carries a stroke. So it's not going to be ta, because ta is carrying a sukoon, and we know that sukoon makes a letter mute. It becomes a muted letter. The mutaharrik letter is the letter which carries the stroke of fatha, dhamma or kasra. So over here, the mim is carrying the fatha. And if the first mutaharrik letter either has a fatha, or if it's carrying a kasra, so underneath, small slant underneath, this alif, the stroke it's going to take is a kasra. So let's explain that one more time. So if we're going to stop at khair and we need to start at the next word, we completely ignore the nun qutni. To determine which stroke comes on the blank alif, we look at the first mutaharrik letter. Here it's a fatha. If it's a fatha or a kasra, this blank alif is going to take a kasra. So we would start again reading it as itma'anna. Itma'anna. We've decided that fatha or kasra on the first mutaharrik letter makes this alif take a kasra when we start again to read. So that's your first situation. Though I should have probably started with this one actually. This one is the easier one to understand. So imagine you've stopped here at the end of this verse. Qadiru becomes qadir. Dhamma becomes sukoon at the end of the verse. The next verse is starting with a nun qutni. Again, when we start the next word or the next verse, we completely ignore the nun qutni. The only time we'll read the nun is in continuous recitation. So in this situation, we have a lam mushaddad. So a lam mushaddad and also a lam sakin we have. In those two situations, the alif will always take a fatha. That's quite an easy thing to remember. So alladhi, again, alladhi, al-aqifu. Whenever you have lam sakin or lam mushaddad after the nun qutni, you don't read the nun qutni if you've stopped on the word or the verse before, and you give the blank alif the stroke of fatha, alladhi. So that's your second scenario. First one is when you have to look at the first mutaharrik letter with a fatha or kasra, blank alif will take a kasra. If you have lam mushaddad or lam sakin, the alif will take a fatha. Last scenario is, again, if you have a same situation where you've stopped, say you've stopped over here, so bi ghulami, you've changed it to bi ghulam, you've stopped there, you're going to start from the next word. Again, nun qutni, you ignore it, you look at the next alif, and in this situation, you've got the meme. Again, first mutaharrik letter, meme is carrying a dhamma this time. So the stroke you give to this alif is a dhamma. So hopefully that's made some sense to you. It is a bit difficult to remember the different scenarios, but just remember the continuous recitation, you will read the nun qutni, khayru nitma'anna. If you're stopping, you have to look, first of all, is it a lam mushaddad or a lam sakin? If it is, the blank alif is taking a fatha. Second scenario is, if it's not lam mushaddad or lam sakin, you think about what's the first mutaharrik letter. So first mutaharrik letter, we have a fatha. Fatha or kasra, this blank alif will take a kasra. If it's a dhamma on the first mutaharrik letter, the blank alif will take a dhamma. Hopefully that's made some sense to you. I'm going to just ask one or two students to have a go at some of the examples, just so I can see if you've understood what I've explained. So I'm just going to find if he's here, A419. A419. No, I don't think I can find him at the moment. Let's try. Let me try N492. Assalamu alaikum, N492? N492, are you there? N492, can you hear me? Yes, you can hear me. Let's try. Just put your hand up if you want to have a go at trying to apply this rule. Okay, A414, you were the first hand up. Okay, A414, could you look at here? So first of all, if you're going to read continuously, could you read it for me?
سواء أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم سواء للآكفون.
Okay, so over here, what you've done is you've read the alif separately to the waw. So remember that you're going to prolong like this. So sawa'a. Okay, so the only thing you're reading separately is the hamza. Okay, sawa'a. So try again for me, please.
سواء للآكفون.
Excellent, well done. So explain to me, if you're going to stop over here, how are you going to read just this word?
سواء.
What sign is going to replace the fatha when you pause there?
سكون.
Excellent. So sawa.
سواء.
Yeah. Slight jerking sound at the end just because of the sukoon. So from this rule, if you're going to stop there and you're going to start on the next word, are we reading this small noon?
No.
No. And what do we have to look at if we have to try to find the right stroke for the alif? Are we looking at the lam with the sukoon here?
No.
Why wouldn't we look? So remember, you would look at the next letter if it isn't a lam sakin or a lam mushaddad. So in this situation, we've got a lam sakin. So do you remember which stroke would go on the alif if it's a lam sakin?
Fatha.
Fatha, excellent, well done. So just starting from this word here, how would you read it?
Al-Akif.
Yeah, so if you're pausing, if you're continuing, you're still going to read the dhamma, aren't you?
Yeah.
Excellent, Jazakallah, very well done, A414. So I'm glad you understood that. I think what I should have done is I should have started with the rule with the fatha. But just remember, so lam mushaddad or lam sakin, we always put the fatha on the alif, on the blank alif. If we don't have either of those, then we look at the next letter, which carries the either fatha, dhamma or kasra, so the next mutaharrik letter. And if it's a fatha and it's not a lam sakin, imagine the lam sakin is not there. So look at this example. If it's a fatha or a kasra, we put a kasra on the alif. If the next mutaharrik letter has a dhamma, then we put a dhamma on the blank alif. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense to you. I don't want to confuse you any further, but there are certain words in the Holy Quran which are exempt from this rule. So this rule doesn't actually apply to some of them. And I'm not going to bring them into this lesson because it can confuse things a little bit. But because of the nature of Arabic grammar, some rules, they won't follow this pattern that we've looked at today. They'll just take a kasra. And I'm not going to bring this in at all because it will confuse things. But if you want to look at it in more detail, in the book Talimul-Quran, page 112 goes into more detail and gives you more examples of when this applies. But for now, just remember, continuous recitation, we read the Noon Qutni. If we're going to stop, we first of all look at Lam Mushaddad or Lam Sakin and we apply the Fatha if they're there. If not, then we look at the next Mutaharrik letter or the first mutaharrik letter. Fatha or kasra means a kasra on the alif, and a dhamma on the mutaharrik letter means a dhamma on the blank alif. So hopefully that's made some sense to you. We have come to the end of this presentation. The last slide, which we'll start the next lesson with, is basically practicing waqf. So we've had loads and loads of practice on this. So inshallah, it shouldn't take too much time in the next lesson. I'm going to ask one student, quickly, someone from Nasirat can raise their hand to read the final prayer. So N466, you were first. Let's have you read the final prayer and then we can leave. Okay, Assalamu alaikum N466. Oh, do you know what I've realized? We haven't even read the starting prayer. So need to remember to do that next time. So N466, are you happy to read it by yourself?
Yes.
Okay, off you go.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma arhamni bil Qur'anil azim. Waj'alhu li imaman wa nuran wa hudan wa rahmah.
Excellent. And a translation, please.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran, and make it for me the leader, the light, and the guidance and the mercy.
Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. Very well read. And I will see you all in the next class, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.